Welcome back. I'm glad you're back for part three. It's Wednesday with AJ, a great conversation that been having all week. Today we step into the pivotal moments that tested him the most, from his teenage years to his early career. AJ shares the battles he faced, both internal and external. We also dive into the power of networking, because with his artwork and the direction he's going in, I hope I got it right, because this could be on Thursday's episode. I cut them up into 5 parts, as you know, and I try and time it beautifully, and it's very, very hard, and I'm very new to it, and I want to share my rawness with you. So if you've ever felt stuck in life, this episode is for you. AJ's story and journey will remind you that new doors are always waiting to be opened, as you can see that in different chapters of his life. But please go back, because if you've missed part 1 and 2 on Monday and Tuesday, because we talk about his art, I show pieces of his beautiful art, and how his art journey began. Because as you will notice, AJ is wearing leather, and he's got tattoos, and he's got this persona about him, but this great guy, there's just layers to him. So please go and tune in. Enjoy, and we'll be back with part 4 tomorrow as well. That's a good story. Very good story. In your childhood then, things started to change in your family, how your family appeared and looked in the household around 11. Your parents separated. Was that a tough time?
No, it really wasn't. Maybe for my brother, maybe for a lot of kids it would have been, but my parents never had very much of a good relationship. I mean, you can tell they loved each other, I guess, but they didn't like each other. They should never have been married. And as far as I was concerned, there was always a tension that you could cut with a knife in the air.
Yeah.
And they would bicker, and my dad would kind of, give my mom the business a lot. And
Oh, really?
so
So you
yeah,
saw that as a child then?
not physically, but mentally.
Okay. Yeah.
And just make her feel stupid and stuff. And so, like, when they did get a divorce, they sat us down and told us, and I was like, huh. And I was 11 years old, and I looked at it and I was like, what took y'all so long? This is
Yeah.
great, and my brother he was too young. He was probably like 7. So he was like, whatever. And but it was great, man, because both of my parents were happy again. They both
Yeah.
got remarried, and I just looked at the positive side. I was like, both my parents are happy now. I get 2 extra birthdays, 2 extra Christmases. I get more attention this way than I did when they were married. So it didn't bother me. I mean, I thought it was a good time in my life. It was just all the tension kind of got released. And
Yeah.
and it wasn't bad for me at all.
That's quite mature for an 11-year-old to be quite mindful of that and feel it. So it must have felt pretty bad in the house in terms of, tension. I mean, I don't mean anything else, but for an
Yeah,
11-year-old to feel that and
yeah,
then get that sense of relief, right?
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. With going into your coming away from that period of your life, things started to go a little bit. You started to get a little bit down, though. Things started to change for you as a teenager, wasn't it?
Yeah,
With your head.
yeah. I was playing a lot of contact sports, and I was 15 years old. And I was driving. Okay, I had a car. Got a new
You're allowed
car.
to drive at 15 then in the
15 back
States.
then. Back then, yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. Back in the 80s, yeah. So and you can drink when you were 18 back then too. Anyway.
That's normal for me, because UK is 18, to be fair.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we were 18. It's not 18 anymore here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had got my license, man. I was driving. I was actually driving to work with my little brother, and I had a seizure. Um,
Wow.
and and back then, well, they still do. You get a seizure, and they take your license away, man,
Mm.
for a year, and then, man, that affected me a lot, because I was always a pretty healthy kid. I was kind of a little, outcast, but that being young, I considered myself normal.
Yeah.
After the seizure happened, I couldn't do what I wanted to do anymore. You know, I got a lot of freedom taken away from me, and you know, my parents didn't really know how to cope with that or handle it. You know, so they were just doing the best they could. But um, you know, if you're a teenager and you want to do stuff with your friends and you want to go on dates in a car, and I mean,
Mhm.
you get that taken away from you, and all of a sudden, you know, you're stuck having to hitch a ride with people, and you're stuck alone. You know, there was no social media, so like I missed out on a lot of stuff, and it made me feel not normal. It made me feel like something was wrong with me. Like, and you know, my parents didn't help out with that too much. I remember my dad saying, "Well, man, you know, I remember back when in my day, you know, if you had like that, you know, they just put you on the porch, you know, and just didn't let you do anything, you know, like a retarded person, you know." And I was like, man, that kind of hurt a lot, you know, because I mean, I wouldn't have told that to my kid, I don't think. Um,
Mm.
you know, what about Napoleon? What about Alexander the Great? They had seizures, you know. That would have been something to tell me instead of that. But
Yeah.
you know, I just I took it, you know, and it was a bunch of things like that. So I probably had a lot of repressed feelings from that, you know, and it kind of just went down from there. You know, my uncle passed away, who was pretty close. You know, it wasn't a good time for me. I'm not a very good person to be held down or told what to do, so I had a problem with that too. You know, I was much happier when I moved out. I moved out when I was like 18, turned 18. I moved out.
Mhm.
You know, and then you know I had more freedom. But because of that, my attitude, and my dad was younger then, and he was really um, full of piss and vinegar. You know, he was trying to teach me a lesson, and we didn't get along that good. You know, for a while. You know, and we wanted to kill each other for the longest time, and finally he just said, "Hey, look, here's the day off, and here's $100. Go move out." And I was like, "I'm moving out," so I moved out.
Wow. Did your relationship go downhill for a while there then?
Yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, for a while.
How long would you say?
Um, man, I mean, I didn't hardly. I mean, I would call him every now and again, you know, but I mean, yeah, we didn't contact each other much.
Mm.
But you know,
Looking at you and feeling it in your voice, I feel that the fact that you lost your car, sorry, your license, sorry, and words from your father, does that does that still hit you?
oh yeah, yeah.
How?
Well, I mean, I have a problem with people treating me in a way that I wouldn't treat them. You know,
Sure.
anytime I get into an altercation with someone, it's because someone did something to me that I wouldn't have done to them. And you know that, and I wouldn't have done that to my kids, and so you know, it kind of hurts. But you can't do anything because it's your dad, you know.
Mm. Because I was thinking about it. It didn't feel right to go down there because you didn't seem too phased. But I'm going to bring it back. We mentioned about like the things you went through at school. Like you kind of laughed it off like it was normal, but with the whipping and the hits for school and at home and whatnot, does that play a part as well? I felt it was just part of your childhood and you accepted it, but now we've gone into that other road, part of the road with losing the license and the relationship with your father kind of going down a little bit. Did the other things affect you as well? Is that still on your mind? Because I'm assuming that's something you didn't do to your children, but it happened to you. So does
Right.
that fall into the same category?
No,
Why not?
because I would rather someone beat me than mentally beat me.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I have no problem. I'm physically capable of handling someone beating me. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. You try to go into my head and narcissistically abuse me mentally. That's what I got a problem with, big time.
Yeah, mate, that's where we do. This is our stories are so different and journeys are so different, but that's where I do connect with you on that because, I've mentioned before, and the viewers know, and you know from the pre-chat with the workplace bullying scene and how it mentally gets you. I've always said if it was two blokes or if it was a bloke doing that to me, I probably would have whipped him one or given him a good smack. And they probably would have fought back, and but 10 minutes later, would probably hug it out and go to have a sorry and go for a whiskey or something. You know what I mean? So I was wondering if I would have. I was interested that you brought that point up because I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I definitely connect with that, and I agree with you 100%. You're right. You're so right. Hit it out, get it out of the system, let it disappear and leave the body, and we'll move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know.
But we can't do that in the modern world, can we? Now it's changed. So what do us guys do to release what we might have released decades ago? What do you think we do? I know how you do it.
Well,
I think I know.
yeah, I do artwork.
I was about to say, yeah.
And I work out and lift weights and run and do physical stuff that helps. Riding motorcycles, riding motocross,
Mm.
jumping in the air on a bike. I mean that helps.
Yeah.
But you really just, I mean, man, like my whole life it was fight. It was like I'm not good at the mental stuff, and that's all there is to it today. I was much better than I can fight my way into a situation and end things, but now you can't do that. So, I spent my whole life being that way, and then now you can't do it. So it's really hard for someone like me or a lot of people are like this, and it's just society now. You can't just go put a smack down on somebody, and
Mm.
it would be healthy for them for you to do that. And a lot of people need it, but you can't do it anymore because it's against the law. It's against you're not supposed to be that kind of way, and it's kind of sad to me. But I mean, I guess you just have to like do some work and train your brain not to be that way anymore.
It's the 20. I feel like it's the teenagers and the 20-year old period that would really struggle with that because you and I have that age on our side where we can reflect, self-awareness, a bit more maturity, and so on. But the younger ones don't have that opportunity to, because you had that opportunity to lash it out and get it out of the system and play it, like you say, on the ground and hurt yourself and break a bone here and there and play your contact sports and resilience building, going through crisis and so on. But though the people these days don't have that same way of living and growing up and opportunity, do they? Because we have to put cushions around everybody,
Like back in the day, I mean, if a bully was picking on you, you gave him a black eye, and if everyone saw that, nobody would pick on you anymore.
Mm.
Now, a bully is still a bully, just not physically, and they will get you, and you can't do anything about it. And there's no closure. It's not over with like it was back then. It drags on forever, you know?
Yeah.
And then the more and more people see it, and then like, man, people are so unlucky today. Like back in the day, they didn't have social media. You heard someone blacken the person's eye. If you saw it, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to mess with that guy. But now you can't do that anymore. Someone picks on you, and then they show 20,000 people, and then all of a sudden 20,000 people hate you. Man, I mean,
Yeah.
teenagers got it bad these days. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
sorry for them, man. I mean, yeah, if some
Yeah.
girl don't like you, and man, she can say something on social media and share it, and it'll go viral, and man, that's your high school days are over.
I know. It's kind of scary, isn't it? Yeah. Even like possibility, obviously depending on what the activity that they've recorded, but like jail time and things like that now as well.
Yeah, yeah,
People are getting into trouble for things that happened 10, 20 years ago as well.
yeah.
In that scenario,
I
it's
mean,
kind of
people get in trouble these days for, I mean, stuff that we could have got away with 20 years ago, 30 years ago, because there wasn't no pictures taken of nothing. No
mm,
one had a camera on them all the time, you know?
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a tough situation and a difficult conversation to have, and I'm not saying the things in the past were necessarily right, but under the circumstance at the time, maybe those acts wouldn't have been followed through if certain laws were in place at that time. So I think is it unfair, I suppose, to punish those people for what they did 20 years ago when you know what I mean? That law wasn't in place then. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is to it, I suppose, because I'm scared of getting cancelled myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's a tough one.
Yeah.
So with you then, what after your teenage years, you've left your home at 18. Where did life go for AJ? Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.